Hi, welcome to this video about periodic table information. This entire list, see here on the screen, we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply one by one on a periodic table. Then at the end, I'll show you all of it together. If you're taking chemistry, doesn't matter whether it's high school or college level, this information is crucial for your understanding of chemistry. It's really a cornerstone of the entire course. The layout of the elements on the periodic table. Now, you probably already know they're laid out in atomic number order. Atomic number is your number of protons, but there's a lot of information besides that you should have in front of you. My suggestion is you stop the video, you go through this list, you apply as much information as you can to your periodic table, and then see how you did. You could even fast forward to the end of this video to see my marked up periodic table. With that, let's get started. I am using the New York State High School Chemistry Regents course periodic table. This was published in 2025. This is the brand new table. If you are a student in high school in New York State and you're going to be taking a Chemistry Regents at the end of the year. Now, in June of 2026, there's two versions of the exam that you are going to be taking one of the two. This periodic table is the new format, and then there's still the old format. Either way, the information that you have on your periodic table is going to help you answer questions. But I'm really focused on this for the new format of the periodic table, or a periodic table that you would use in college that pretty much just has bare bones information. Running down our list, the first ones are where our metals, our semi-metals, and our non-metals. On the left-hand side, this group of elements, about 2/3 of the table, are our metals. And on the right-hand side, we have our non-metals. And in between, New York State still uses a bold line here. I call it the staircase. You have what's known as the semi-metals. Now, New York State designates 6 elements as the semi-metals. We start with boron at the top, then you see the other 3 on the staircase and 2 below. So New York State has designated in the past these 6 elements as semi-metals or metalloids. Again, your left-hand side is your metals and your right-hand side as your non-metals. Metals are givers of valence electrons and our non-metals are takers of electrons. Next one is group names. Now, group is a column or a family. And the reason why we call them groups is they have the same number of valence electrons for certain columns, so therefore they share the same chemical properties. Your group 1 metals are known as your alkali metals or elements. Group 2, alkaline earth. Here in the middle, your transition elements. Down here, inner transition, and then we move over to the right-hand side. We don't have fancy names until we get to group 17 again. And then we have what's known as the halogens, and next to them are the noble gases. Now, try to label them as best I can so that you can actually read it. Group 1, that's alkali. Group 2, alkaline earth. How do you keep them straight? Group 1 has one word in front of metal or element, and group 2 has alkaline earth, which is 2 words. In the middle of the table here, you have your transition elements. Here, which would extend the periodic table even further, they just kind of pulled it out and put it down here, are known as the inner transition. And then way over here, group 17, it's halogen, H-A-L-O-G-E-N. That starts with fluorine on down. And then, of course, your noble gases here at the far right. Now we're checking out valence electrons. That's the outermost electrons for an atom. Those are the electrons that are involved with bonding of one atom of an element to another. Group 1, all of the elements in this group have 1 valence electron. Group 2, all the elements in this group all have 2 valence electrons. Here in the middle, we're called transition elements because a lot of these elements, atoms, sometimes share 1 number of electrons and sometimes it's a different number. Here on the far right, boron, then you have aluminum on down, which they are typically 3. Carbon is typically a sharer of its valence electrons with 4. Nitrogen, and going down the group, 5. oxygen, 6 valence electrons. The halogens are group 17, 7. And then finally, the noble gases. Now, helium has 2 valence electrons, and the rest all have 8 as far as outermost electrons. So it really goes by these top numbers or group numbers. For 13 through 18, just drop the number 1 in front and you have the number of valence or outermost electrons. For principal energy levels, this has to do with what's known as electron configuration or the layout of electrons in an atom. You can check out the numbers here for the rows or periods of a table. This first row or period, the valence electrons are in the first principal energy level. For row 2, the valence or outermost electrons are in the second principal energy level, and there are inner electrons, obviously, in the first that kind of builds on itself. The third row, there are valence electrons in the third principal energy level all the way on down. For instance, let's say I have iodine, and I want to know how many valence electrons and what level are we up to as far as where those outermost electrons are found. Iodine has 7 valence electrons, and all of those electrons would be in the fifth principal energy level. You can figure out the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons for any of these elements. Your atomic number, or I also call it my element's social security number, because the atomic number, the symbol, and the name always go together. Also the number of protons. If you change the number of protons for an atom, you've changed its identity. So no matter what, it goes by the number of protons. If I take the key here as my example, I have tin. It's got an atomic number of 50, which means it's 50 protons. If it's an atom, atoms we say are electrically neutral, protons equal electrons, it would also have 50 electrons. As far as neutrons, they have no charge, but they do have mass. What you're going to do is you're going to take your average atomic mass, that's your weighted average of the different isotopes of that element that are found in nature, and you're going to round this to the nearest whole number. In our example here, that would be 119. Includes protons, so it's protons plus neutrons. I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 50 protons, and what we're going to be left with then is the number of neutrons, which obviously in this case is 69. Quick recap: atomic number, number of protons. For tin, that's 50. Number of electrons, it's an atom, equal number of protons and electrons, that would be 50. For neutrons, I'm going to take my atomic mass, I'm going to round it to the whole number, subtract the number of protons, and I get the number of neutrons, in this example, 69. Now we're going to check out periodic trends. This is what happens going across the table in a row or down a group. We'll start with metallic character here. You're going from your metals to your semi-metals to your non-metals. Metallic character, therefore, as I go across the table, decreases. For atomic radius, size of the atom. As I go across, the size of the atom goes down. The reason for this, the number of protons is increasing one by one as I go across the table. So is the number of electrons, but they are in the same principal energy level. The more protons we're adding to the nucleus, while the valence electrons are increasing, but they're increasing in the same region of space, the tighter the atom becomes. Ionization energy. Ionization energy is the energy required to knock an electron or the outermost electron out of an atom. As I go across the table, and this would include the noble gases, all 3 of these so far, the ionization energy increase. It's harder to knock an electron or the outermost electron out. Electronegativity has to do with the atom's ability to pull an electron towards itself in a bond, in a chemical bond. That also follows ionization energy, which increases as you go across. Electronegativity, we don't have values for the noble gases because, of course, they don't want to react with anything. That's the trends as we go across. The other one would be, it's not a trend, but what happens with valence electrons. And again, as we go across the periodic table, not including the middle of the table here, the transition or the inner transition, we're looking at groups 1 and 2 and 13 through 18, the number of valence electrons increase. Now we're going to look at it as we go down a group. My metallic character increases. Atomic radius, increase. So both of these increase. Ionization energy and electronegativity, they follow the trends the same way in that with ionization energy, it takes less energy to knock an electron out as it's further away from the nucleus. So this decreases as I go down, and electronegativity decreases as I go down. Within the groups, the number of valence electrons within each group as I go down, with the exception, of course, of noble gases, this one being 2 and then the rest being 8, stays the same. Now we're looking at ion charges. That's when an atom loses or gains electrons. And also oxidation numbers. They go hand in hand. You use that for labeling when it comes to losing or gaining electrons. I went ahead and marked up the columns. We start with pluses and we end up carbon, could be plus or minus 4, really it's covalent bonding, and then losing of electrons, and then your noble gases don't want to lose or gain. When it comes to chemical reactivity, you're looking in 2 places. The most reactive metal, that means wants to give electrons the most, is going to have valence electrons furthest away from the nucleus. That's here in the bottom left-hand corner for metals, and then up here, the top right-hand corner for your non-metals. We don't include the noble gases because they don't want to react with anything. It's fluorine that's going to be the most reactive non-metal. As a matter of fact, when it comes to electronegativity values, it's on a scale of 0 to 4. Fluorine has a number of 4. Again, for chemical reactivity, bottom left for metals, top right for non-metals. Electron configurations, or the layout of electrons. Depending on the chemistry course you're taking, you're going to have to at least know principal energy levels, which is indicated by the row numbers. You might have to know sublevels. Sublevels are either S, P, D, or F. On a periodic table, first 2 columns here is known as your S block. That means you're going to have your electrons in an S sublevel for electrons. For 13 through 18, you have your P block. In the middle with your transitions, you have your D block. And then finally with inner transitions, your F block. I'm not going to go into electron configurations that much here. It depends on the chemistry course that you're taking. Not all elements that are on the periodic table are found in nature. In fact, there's elements that are only man-made elements, and that starts down here with element 95. 95 all the way up to 118 are only man-made elements. Stable versus radioactive isotopes. When you have too many subatomic particles in the nucleus of an atom, you have an atom that is unstable. Sometimes we call it a radioisotope. We can also call it a nuclide. And it turns out that after element 83, starting with polonium on up, you only have radioactive elements. There are no stable isotopes of these elements. And that means that they're going to undergo nuclear decay. Another element that also has no stable isotopes is here, element 43. So everything 84 and above and element 43 are unstable when it comes to the nucleus, or known as radioactive elements. Finally, the last one on my list, what is the phase of the elements at room temperature? Most elements are solids at room temperature. There are some exceptions. Hydrogen is a gas. Of course, you have your noble gases with your halogens, fluorine and chlorine are gases. Oxygen is a gas, and nitrogen. So those are all your gases. Bromine is the only liquid nonmetal. Mercury is the only liquid metal. The other thing to keep note of is that with your halogens, you have gases, a liquid, and then solid. So all 3 phases are represented with this group of elements. That's a lot of information for the periodic table. I would suggest that you mark them up time and time again till you can see it in your mind's eye and not have to write it on the paper. But if you always have to write it on the paper, that's fine. You're going to be able to answer a lot of questions with this information on the table. Here it is of my marked up table. I will put it in the description if you want to download a copy and print it out for yourself. No matter what, keep working hard and good luck.